So you get the idea of simultaneous experience. We can have way more experiences than we think at a time, and we have to open ourselves up to that to have a multidimensional experience. Okay, we're going to talk about consciousness briefly because it's an endless topic. It's like trying to talk about infinity. We're going to talk about consciousness briefly. And what I want you to understand is you have accessed consciousness for most of your life, like that letter A. You've been accessing consciousness from a particular perspective, and you believed that perspective is your perspective. And you've been very attached to it. We all are. No harm, no foul. What I want you to understand is that consciousness, meaning you, consciousness is not a thing. Can you feel the truth of that? Consciousness is not a thing. What do I mean by that? I mean, it's not a substance. It's not something you can find. You can't locate it. Consciousness is a field. Consciousness is a field of influence, like a magnetic field is a field of influence. A magnetic field is everywhere all at the same time. A field is a field. It is a space of influence. And consciousness is a field of influence. And what determines your dimensional perception is how small or how big your field of influence is. Can everybody feel that? How small or how big your field of influence is. Okay, put your pens down, sit up straight, close your eyes. I want you to visualize your body in your head, and I want you to feel the shape of your body right now. And now I want you to begin breathing and letting your body expand outwards just a little bit with each inhale. Inhale, let your body expand outward like a balloon. Exhale, let your body contract. Inhale, expand outwards like a balloon. Exhale. Let your body contract. Now I invite all of you to keep your eyes closed. I know it might be scary, but you're safe. I promise you. With each inhale, let your awareness expand outwards. Just a little bit more. Let your awareness expand out and fill up the whole room. Let your awareness fill up your whole house. Let your awareness expand to fill up your whole block. Feel all of the truth everywhere in this entire block. Every moment is truth. Then expand to the size of your city. And expand to size of the country. And expand your field to the size of the entire planet. Expand to fill up the whole solar system. And then expand to fill the whole Milky Way. Feel time from the perspective of the Milky Way. Feel yourself from the perspective of the Milky Way. Consciousness is a field. Allow it to be a field. A field is open and boundless. Follow every sensation. Accept every sensation. Notice what happens when you accept every feeling. What happens when you accept every thought? Acceptance becomes a habit. And luckily, acceptance feels good. Right now, visualize carrying this acceptance through the rest of this ceremony. Visualize accepting, and you have made a decision to accept. Beautiful. Now bring yourselves back. All the way back to this dimension. It'll feel a little bit weird, but you'll get used to it. All right. Welcome back, Vicky. Okay, so somebody tell me something. Y'all been quiet for a while. Time to share now. Who's got something to share? Raise a hand, unmute yourselves. Tell me something. What'd you feel? What'd you see?
I felt myself almost floating. It wasn't like I felt disconnected from here. It's just that it's the same place as here. It's the same place. But it's a different way of being. I can't explain it in words, but it makes me feel light, floating, no issues in my body, just quiet in my mind, and just relax and ready for whatever comes next, and accepting what is.
Thank you. That's a beautiful description. To me, it feels like almost floating in the ocean. Shanna?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I felt when we went up to the Milky Way, I felt as if I was the Milky Way.
Mm-hmm.
But very much like she was saying, as far as like knowing that I was here, but almost observing everything from up there. And when you said imagine time for the Milky Way, and I couldn't, and it made it seem silly the
Right.
whole time. And I was just sitting there looking down at us and our world, and it just puts things into perspective. It wasn't I didn't have a lot of visuals, but it definitely was a lot of stillness and calmness and just waiting for what is. I feel like time is, when you hear time is an illusion, it's just a saying, but to experience that was pretty cool.
Amen. Thank you. I love that description. And yeah, that one is not about having, deep visions. It's the vision is to take you to a place of stillness, and you tapped in. That's beautiful. Thank you.
So Tech, I have something for you.
Who's that? Nancy?
Yeah.
That's me.
For me, there definitely was no time or space. And I didn't really want to come back, but there was a time that I was, making everything expanding. And then when it got super big, sorry, this dog's
That's all right. I know what it's like.
When it got super big, I kind of made it small. And it was more like me observing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, oh, I don't have to make it small. I came into it and observed as it. Does that make sense?
It does.
And then I felt like I expanded even bigger. And the interesting thing, Hero was sitting right here, and as my breath was changing, his breath started to get in sync. He's really hyper. He wants to play. This is normally his playtime.
Mm-hmm.
But he felt the energy shift, and his breath started getting in pattern with my breath.
Amazing. Thank you. And I want you to pay attention to how hearing each other's perceptions affects your own perception. This is the importance of the Soul Stream community, is that as you hear how other people experience it, it's going to start to affect how you experience it. Okay. And so it'll just keep reflecting back. Anybody else have something they can share?
So I felt floaty. And then when you were describing the balloon, I totally saw myself as the balloon, getting big. And then, when you empty a balloon and they're like fluttering in the air.
Uh-huh.
I kind of felt that way. And, when I expanded over the galaxy and the earth, it was like, I think I'm just going to go to the blackness. I'm just going to go to darkness. I'm just like, I'm not going to do this layer. And like, okay, I'm just going to be up here. And then I just forgot what the Milky Way looked like. And I was like, trying to find what the Milky Way looked like. But then I was like, forget it. I'm just gonna let go. And then I was like in darkness, like everything was dark. But then when we came back, I just didn't want to come back.
Mm-hmm.
And then I felt like floaty, and like my body was like feeling tingling, like I'm like the balloon deflating.
Yes. Because all the energy was coming back in. You expanded it all out and it was coming back in. That's beautiful. Thank you for that description. and you handled that absolutely perfectly, you guys. I want y'all to understand that every guided meditation ever, the words are just an invitation to go somewhere deep inside. And if you're already somewhere deep, don't worry about the words. They don't matter. You're getting what you need, like it's all good.